Aloha, and how's it? Today, we're talking all about how you can supercharge your LinkedIn marketing the mango way, of course, so that you can grow your business and scale your impact. So, more on that in a minute. How was your weekend? It was a beautiful weekend here. We've got those winter waves going on. So that means we've got lots of surf to be had. Sometimes it's a little too big for me, but if in doubt, I try to take this board, but I also have a step up board, which I really like taking out. If it's a little big, it helps me get into the wave a little bit earlier and hopefully not have too steep of a drop. I don't really like, dropping. I like a nice ramp into the wave. So having lots of fun surfing the waves. Have you checked out the latest episode of the Mango Effect podcast yet? This week's episode is all about getting gutsy when you're making a strategic move. And I'm going to share the scoop about what's next geographically for me in that episode, but I'm not going to give a spoiler here. You have to listen to the episode. So go look up the Mango Effect podcast. And there also are another 40 plus episodes up there about creating a life you love, being a digital entrepreneur, figuring out how to live in rhythm with nature, learning to surf, doing life your way, and more. But now it is time for Mondays with Mindy. This is a weekly show at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, where I talk about all things LinkedIn pipeline, promo, and profiles, what I call the 3 Ps of LinkedIn. So, do you have questions about LinkedIn that you want me to answer? Be sure to like this post whether you're watching live or from the replay. Leave your questions below because I will either answer them after the show if you need a quick answer. Just let me know. Otherwise, I will use it as inspiration for a future episode of Mondays with Mindy. I love questions. That's where all of the topics come from. So please leave them below. Now, let's get to today's topic. How do you go about supercharging your marketing using what I like to call the keep it simple smarty pants approach when it comes to LinkedIn? So, last week we talked about knowing your sales and marketing numbers on LinkedIn. And that leads us to today, where we're going to go build on those numbers so we can actually flesh out a very simple marketing plan. So, how much marketing do you actually need to do on LinkedIn? While many experts think they need a very complex marketing plan, it's really not that complicated to get started with your marketing on LinkedIn. A lot of the experts who I work with are not trying to become major influencers in their space, believe it or not, as they simply want to fill their business pipeline with the right people using LinkedIn. As long as they have a steady stream of prospects, they are pretty happy with their efforts. Is there such a thing as posting too much on LinkedIn? What's actually the ideal amount to post on LinkedIn? How does long form content fit into your strategy, if at all? Can you get by without posting any content on LinkedIn? So, too many social media gurus kind of talk about content is king, content, content, content. It's the foundation of your business. But I've actually had periods myself where I posted literally nothing on LinkedIn, but continued to have a steady flow of opportunities. You're like, Mindy, what? You post like a weekly live stream, you have a newsletter. Yeah, I know. I know. I keep that up these days, but at some periods in my career, in my business, in my life, I just was not able to post. But there are some ways that you can actually streamline your LinkedIn posting so it is effective but doesn't take a ton of time. So, what's the secret? We're going to have a chat today about what you can do right now to master your LinkedIn marketing without wasting your time on the posts that don't actually contribute to your bottom line. So, aloha. For those who don't know me, my name is Mindy Rosser. I'm the founder of Mindy Rosser Marketing, and I have a group program called the LinkedIn Accelerator for those who want to go from 0 to 60 on LinkedIn with their profile and their network. We are kicking off the next cohort in January. So stay tuned. That is like right around the corner. I'm really, really excited about this next cohort. We're making some really good changes to the program. It's going to be a blast. So I help superstars who feel they are the best kept secret in their industry to become that go to visible expert in their niche so they can either get that next opportunity, grow their business, or scale their impact on LinkedIn. In this live, we are going to talk about why spending all of your time on LinkedIn marketing is not growing your business or increasing opportunities, but how you can actually supercharge your marketing plan with LinkedIn so that you can get more clients and business opportunities this next year without all the content overwhelm or feeling like you have to post all the time. So, are you ready? Let's do this. Go ahead and like this post, whether you're live or watching from the replay, to give it some social love. So, like I mentioned before, one of the biggest mistakes people make on LinkedIn is feeling a lot of pressure to post too frequently to LinkedIn. Ever been there? I know I do. I feel it all the time. It's like this sense of FOMO, like the fear of missing out. A lot of my peers and colleagues are very prolific when it comes to content. If you follow any other LinkedIn experts, you're probably going to notice that I post very little compared to most of them. If you're an expert like me, then you actually should be spending less time than the typical influencer posting content to LinkedIn. I think many of us think we have to compare ourselves to those influencers or the influential people in our space and look at their frequency and match it or beat it. The thing is, most of us are not influencers, at least the mega type. I would say a lot of us are micro influencers. And so we're not really trying to reach the masses. We're not trying to have a million followers on LinkedIn. Rather, we are thought leaders who also happen to be experts in what we do. I like to think about the 80-20 rule. I think most of us are familiar with this. We get 80% of our results from the 20% of things we do. This applies to LinkedIn. If you are an expert, then you should be spending that 80% of your time working on your business in areas of expertise and getting new leads. That should not be used up. You really shouldn't be using all of that creative energy to write posts for LinkedIn. And I see a lot of people flip it and they do so much content or so much social media posting, but they are not actually doing the activities that lead to their results. All right. So keep that in mind. It's like you can actually do less on LinkedIn and get more of a result. And then I get the question, but Mindy, isn't content creation and publishing a big part of attracting new leads on LinkedIn? Good question. Yes and no. So, as an expert, you need to focus on the activities that are going to drive your business revenue and a steady stream of opportunities. So, no matter what inbound content gurus tell you, inbound marketing does not drive a steady stream of prospects, ideal clients, or opportunities for you until you have a huge following or you have established SEO in your industry. So a lot of us think that we are just going to get into posting every day and then we're going to have a lot of leads and people coming from our content. You cannot treat content like a short term win that is going to bring you all this new business. You are actually going to be very, very disappointed. And so I want to save you all that hassle. Don't worry about that right now. It's not about doing a ton of content, it's about doing the right content. So if you are an expert with a small but mighty network who wants to become a thought leader and you want to use LinkedIn to engage with your audience while getting new clients, don't try to act like a mega influencer just yet. All right. So your focus should be on a few pieces of content that are going to drive the most results for the time invested. In reality, you should be posting to LinkedIn less frequently than you might think. That makes sense, kind of, right? We're getting it. Less is more, 80% for the 20%. So it all depends on why you're using LinkedIn to begin with. Why are you here? I've mentioned this a lot in the live streams. If you've watched some of the older ones, you've heard me talk about what's your why, what's your reason, what's your intention for LinkedIn, because that drives everything that you do. If you just hop onto LinkedIn trying to do tactics and do cool things, post content, repost content, comment, and you don't know why you're doing it, or what it's supposed to give you in the end, you're wasting your time, you're spinning your wheels. You might get some results, but you're not going to get the ultimate results. So if you're thinking about content like an expert, you are going to be delighted to know that you don't need to do as much posting as you might have thought at first. This is not Instagram, this is not TikTok, this is not Facebook. You should actually spend the majority of your LinkedIn time inside your direct messages and engaging with your ideal prospects, not creating the most thought provoking content ever created. Like I mentioned before, why are you on LinkedIn? Are you here to generate business? Are you here to build relationships? Are you here to get prospects talking to you? Are you here to become an influencer? You got to figure out what that is and match your tactics to why you are here. Most of the experts I know are trying to grow their business and be able to point to LinkedIn and say, I got X number of opportunities from LinkedIn this month, this quarter, this year. If you're an in the making influencer, as I call them, a rising star who's only interested in getting a bigger following, tons of engagement on posts, trying to look like they are a thought leader, and you really enjoy publishing a lot of content, The approach I'm going to talk about today is probably not for you. I'll just make that clear. You can stop watching now. This is for those of you who want to post more strategically and maybe look at posting a little less frequently. So, if you're an expert trying to be smart with their time and resources, we are going to talk about what your LinkedIn marketing strategy should actually be designed to do. In a perfect world, you want to be able to post once or twice a week, sharing your expertise in a way that pulls in your ideal audience out of the woodwork, gets them to engage with you, and helps to shift their perspective. The key there is shifting perspective. So, a visible expert is also a thought leader. No matter how big your audience, no matter how small your audience is, you do not need thousands of people who wait with bated breath for every piece of content to call yourself an expert. You simply need to use your content to remind people of your expertise and how that you can help them if they're struggling with the problem you solve. That's what an expert does. An expert has developed expertise in whatever area it is. They know how to troubleshoot, they know how to work with people to solve problems. So, yes, there is such a thing as too much posting on LinkedIn, and your credibility can go down because you spend too much time posting on LinkedIn. Keep that in mind too. I see a lot of overposting happening on LinkedIn because you think more is better. There's a LinkedIn expert in my space, no names, who actually comments multiple times per day and engages with every single comment on his own posts, dozens of comments on other people's posts, yet he claims to be a LinkedIn expert who is reassuringly expensive. Like, okay, all right. Do I ever hear him talk about how he helps his clients? Not really. He gabs on LinkedIn all day, sounds pretty darn smart, but it makes me question how much expertise he really has. And you don't have to jump on every content trend out there. I am actually pretty tired of hearing that I need to start doing TikToks and dancing to reels and becoming an entertainer just to get the attention of my audience. On LinkedIn, you don't have to do that. You don't have to be the ultimate poster. You don't have to be on top of everything. You don't have to have notifications on your phone for LinkedIn. So every time someone comments, you are responding within minutes. So keep that in mind. LinkedIn is a lot more relaxed than a lot of other channels, and you don't have to overpost here. All right. So I just want you to all feel good. Like, take a breath. Okay, I will not overpost on LinkedIn. Rest assured, you don't have to do any of this as an expert if you don't want to, especially on LinkedIn. Now, if you want to be gabbing on LinkedIn all day, okay, go ahead. Feel free. You know, If you start cross posting TikToks or Reels to LinkedIn too, I do want to call this out here because I've seen some of this happening lately. Your followers are going to disengage unless they are Gen Zers, in which case they may like what you're posting. But if your audience is a little bit more professional and they're not very young people, you may want to stay away from TikToks or Reels on LinkedIn. Don't cross post them. If it looks like it was cross posted from those channels, people are not going to like it on LinkedIn. Okay. So, that out of the way, how should you, as an expert, approach your LinkedIn marketing and content planning? And I'm going to say, let's kiss, shall we? Okay, not that kind of kiss, KISS, the KISS approach to LinkedIn marketing, which is keep it simple, smarty pants. So, experts who want to supercharge their LinkedIn marketing plan the mango way can do it in a number of ways. So, we're going to talk about some of the factors to consider to dial in your LinkedIn marketing strategy without getting overwhelmed, without overposting. We're looking for that sweet spot with our LinkedIn marketing and not just posting to get engagement or look like an influencer. Thought leadership does not require dozens of reactions on posts or hundreds of comments. Keep that in mind. That's not what it's about here. All right. So, number one, LinkedIn post frequency. I get asked this a lot. Does every expert need to post to LinkedIn? First of all, no, not every expert does need to post to LinkedIn. I have some experts who post maybe once per month. If they are an in-demand board member, C-suite executive, posting more frequently would actually signal that they have too much time on their hands and they're trying to drum up business, or they are leaving their job looking for something else. So if you're an expert like most of us, I would recommend posting once per week if you're just getting started and you want a good guideline to follow. Once it becomes a habit, you can play with the frequency. If you want to post a little bit more, go ahead. If you're already posting weekly and you want to post more, then increase to twice weekly on any day. And I usually say between Tuesday to Thursday. Some of you are going to say, but Mindy, I get more engagement on a Friday or a Monday. That's fine. I post on Monday. This is Mondays with Mindy. I post on Monday. But I also do post on Tuesday. So I post this live stream, goes out on Monday. I actually tease this live stream and put it into a written form on Tuesday in my LinkedIn newsletter. So I post technically twice weekly, but it's the same piece of content. So the people who like to read my content actually can read it easily. The people who like to watch my content can watch me talk. So this is all up to you how you want to handle it. But once to twice weekly is perfectly fine. I think posting every weekday is overkill for most people, but if you're a marketer, if you're a social media expert, if you're in content marketing, it might be appropriate to post that frequently. Personally, I usually end up posting, like I said, twice a week, sometimes 3 to 4 times per week if I'm promoting something else or if I'm sharing a podcast I was on or resharing somebody else's piece of content. But usually it ends up being about twice. So consider a frequency that will work for you without causing stress. This is not about feeling anxiety that you have a LinkedIn post coming up. Then stick with it. Once you have a frequency that works, stick with it to see the results you get. You can always toggle it up, toggle it down if you need to. If you hit a busy period, a lot of times people are traveling over the holidays. It's a little trickier to post. Feel free to play with your frequency. It doesn't have to be perfect. All right. But just keep in mind, once a week is good, twice a week is fantastic. You want to do more than that? That's up to you. All right. Number 2, LinkedIn content types. So, what types of content should you be posting to LinkedIn? Several months ago, I used to recommend that experts post a mix of short form, so very short, kind of like pithy posts, like almost what you would see on Twitter, but a little bit longer, and then also long form content. So a mix of both because both were valuable. Videos also used to perform really well, and so did LinkedIn polls. Those are kind of like not so trendy these days. So as of now, LinkedIn is really still pushing experts to use LinkedIn creator mode. So what you're watching right now is because I have LinkedIn creator mode turned on. I am doing a live stream and I'm using the LinkedIn newsletter feature. LinkedIn loves that. It pushes it in the algorithm, it pushes it in notifications. So if you have really good long form content and your audience likes it, go with long form content. This is really good news for experts because we don't have to write like really pithy fluff to get attention. It's really about showcasing expertise, shifting perspective. If you're an expert and you're already producing regular content like a blog, an article, video, live stream, podcast, interviews, repurpose this same long form content for LinkedIn. So if you have a big stash of content that you can use and post to LinkedIn, do it. Do it, especially if it's evergreen content. So make sure to keep in mind that this is a really, really good way to engage your audience, to really get them to pay attention. I have also done a separate live stream on LinkedIn creator mode. So just type in my name, Mindy Rosser, LinkedIn creator mode in a Google search, and you will see my article on that. This is a really good primer for those of you who want to get into LinkedIn creator mode and don't know exactly how to do that. You don't have to create content for LinkedIn just using those features, but they are really good features to test. And if you don't have long form content, some people come to me and they're doing a pivot or a shift. So maybe they've been in a career, they're switching from a 9 to 5 to start a business. If you don't have that bunch of long form content, don't worry. It's really about time to start thinking about how you can create this type of long form content over time. I usually tell people think in terms of buckets, content buckets. I have 3 buckets. I have LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn promo, which is marketing, and LinkedIn pipeline, which is sales. So I talk about content that always fits into one of those 3 buckets. That helps me plan out my content more easily. And I even like to plan it per month. So a lot of times I'll do for 1 month, I will do all about LinkedIn profiles. The next month, I'll do all about LinkedIn promo, which is marketing. Next month, all about LinkedIn pipeline sales. So that helps you plan it out in a little bit more of a strategic way. But just get started. Don't feel like you have to create weekly, really in depth blog content if you don't have it. If you like short form content too, I'm going to say go for it. Some of you can write really thoughtful posts. I've seen them. I like a number of people who've been through my accelerator program. I'm like, they're so much better at content writing than I am. They write the most engaging posts. And so, if that's your style, if that's how you engage, if that's how you get people to talk with each other and talk with you and get them to shift their perspective, go for it. Don't feel like just because Mindy does long form content that that's what you have to do. There is space for all different types on LinkedIn. I'm just sharing what LinkedIn pushes and what LinkedIn is promoting right now and what I am seeing. The goal is to be sure that the people that are inside your network, your target audience, sees you as a credible expert, not just a clever copywriter who can game the LinkedIn algorithm to get engagement. All right. So it's all about shifting perspective, posting consistently enough, and thinking about what type of content you want to share here on a regular basis. All right, so best times to post. This is a question that comes up all the time. What time should I post? If you're wondering the best time to post, you don't have to think too hard about it. All right, post sometime during the workday on weekdays and you'll be all set. So just think in terms of, I usually tell people, depending on your time zone, I'm based in the US right now on the North Shore of Oahu, so in Hawaii. So for me, my morning is everybody on the mainland's afternoon. So for me, I try to post in the morning because that means I'm going to hit my target audience in the afternoon. So lunchtime, maybe evening. If I'm a little bit late, I might hit them right as they're getting off work. So just keep in mind where your target audience is based and what time zones they're probably checking LinkedIn. And most people check LinkedIn on the weekdays during their workday. It's almost like email. So just keep in mind that that's when you want to post for the most part. But if you can't post during the perfect time and you have to post early morning and you feel like it's a little too early for your audience, just do it. It's better to post at some point during the day than to get the perfect posting time. I've seen too many people try to post at the best time and they find that it actually doesn't really make a difference with their audience, but you do need to test this. So play with the times, especially as you're getting started, figure out what works for you and then what works for your people. If you find that posting on a certain day of the week at a certain time works well for you, then go with that. If you can keep up that consistently, fantastic. For those who want to nerd out on this metric, I talked about it last week, but I recommend using a tool called Shield, like Shield, shieldapp.ai. So look up that tool. It's a fantastic tool to see what times people engage with your posts. This has helped me with my clients in figuring out best times to post for them because I look at this and it shows you kind of like a heat map of when people are engaging with your post, which I think is fabulous. And if that's your thing, shieldapp.ai. Remember, just post at a natural time of day and during the week whenever it works for you. It's better just to post. For example, like I said, I go live on Monday afternoons for most people in the US, my morning, but it's not typically when a lot of people are online. But this time works best for me. And it's also when I am the most fresh and enthusiastic. Like I'm more excited than at the end of my week. If I went live like on a Wednesday or something, I'm not going to be in the right headspace. So I like posting newsletters, my LinkedIn newsletter on Tuesdays because more people are around. So people who didn't catch my live when it was live on Tuesday, they're like, oh yeah, that's that newsletter from Mindy. I'll catch the live here. So personal posts also, like on the topic of personal posts with a selfie image, these actually, I have noticed with my clients, they tend to do well on Thursdays because Thursdays or Fridays, because people are often looking for a distraction at that point in the week. Like at the beginning half of the week, we're like all ready for this. Monday, Tuesday, we're like thinking motivation. I'm going to get stuff done. By the end of the week, it's like, okay, I'd like to connect with humans. I'm kind of tired. Talk about your family, talk about lessons learned, talk about a highlight of the week. Things like that tend to do well at the end of the week. But test to see what you like, see what works for you. And it depends on what type of content you have too. So just play with the days, figure out what works and stick with that. All right. And number 4. So putting it all together, decide on your weekly content formula using the 3 things we talked about. So we talked about post frequency. How often are you going to post every month? Every week. Also, content types. What types of content are you going to share? Is it long form, short form, a mixture? Also, number 3, your LinkedIn best times to post, or what time of the day, the actual day time that you're going to post. So figure out how many times per week, choose which type of content, then post it at the best time of day for you. As long as you're posting on somewhat of a cadence, it doesn't really matter what that cadence is, not if you're an expert. If you are a mega influencer, that's different. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to those of us who are hustling, we're doing our work, and then we're trying to squeeze in LinkedIn into that. So choose a content approach that you can be consistent with, as that's the key with LinkedIn. What works for you? You don't have to be like anyone else. Embrace your own post frequency, post types, and when you want to post. So there you have it. It can be really simple. So let's recap how to supercharge your LinkedIn marketing strategy. Again, LinkedIn post frequency, LinkedIn content types, best times to post, and then put it all together in your weekly content formula. So, what additional questions do you have about simplifying your LinkedIn marketing approach? Leave them below in the comments, or if you want to shoot me a private message, feel free. I am happy to answer them. And if you are excited, if you're like, Mindy, this stuff is getting me pretty excited here. I'm like excited to take my marketing to the next level, then get on the LinkedIn Accelerator waitlist. Here's the link because this will take you from where you are now we go really fast in the LinkedIn Accelerator. In 5 days flat, we go from 0 to 60 on LinkedIn with your profile and your network. So we optimize your profile. We talk about how to start growing your network and all of the getting started things that you've wanted to ask, you want to know on how to make LinkedIn work for you in particular. That's what we cover inside the LinkedIn Accelerator program. It's kicking off in January, so make sure to hop on the wait list now. All right, I will see you all next week on Mondays with Mindy. Feel free to leave any questions or comments below. My inbox is open if you want to message me directly. All right, that's it for this week. I will see you all then. Bye for now.